what's the biggest jump that you guys did you see the jump that you guys wanted to see from game 1 to game 2? And if you did, what was that jump?
I'm not sure. No disrespect to Benedictine, but Arizona Christian was a better ball club in terms of level of play. So it was hard to distinguish if we were that much better in certain areas. You could sit here and say, hey, we did a great job on the defensive glass. We only gave up three offensive rebounds, but was that because we were checking out or because we could just out jump our opponents? That will remain to be seen from the video. I thought for the most part, we took care of the ball, but, they had a different scheme. They weren't in the passing lanes. They weren't trying to apply a bunch of ball pressure. So you should have a very low total of turnovers against a team that plays a pack line or gap defense as compared to Arizona Christian that gets out in the passing lanes and disrupts the ball and gets into you a little bit more with the pressure out front. So we had less turnovers tonight. We rebounded the ball defensively better tonight. We got to get to the free throw line better. That's something that's an issue. We didn't have any free throws in the first half. Ended up shooting 12 in the second. Our percentages have been good thus far, which, if you follow Aggie basketball, it's always a point of concern is the free throw percentage around here historically. But we've been making the ones when we get there, but we're fouling too much. We were just unnecessary fouls. We talked about it post-game last time with the team that we just had a bunch of silly fouls that were unnecessary, and I felt like we had a bunch more tonight. So hopefully we got to nip that in the butt real quick. Otherwise, that'll become an issue for us too.
Coach, you said after the last game and kind of leading up to this one that you're looking for Donnie to be a little bit more aggressive on a consistent basis. Did you see that tonight, or at least more of it?
Yeah, I think he was a little more aggressive, but again, he outmanned his opponent. It's a different level of athlete that we're going to be facing, from here on out. For the, almost every game we play from here on out, it's going to be just a different level of competition, and he won't be able to play bully ball against a lot of those guys. So, but he was more aggressive. His line looks really good, 17 and 8, and he's had a couple turnovers. Didn't make a 3, which he's proved to us in practice, and even his percentages prior to getting here, he doesn't shoot a ton of them, but he can knock them down, and we need him and Johnny both to be able to stretch the defense, from that forward spot. But I thought he played better. He played well against Arizona Christian down the stretch. He scored a bunch of points late that really helped us, but I thought he was a little more consistent tonight.
Coach, how happy were you with the defense being able to limit them to one shot most of the time down the floor, especially in the first and second half?
Like I said, hopefully it's something to do with our checkouts and our defensive rebounding mentality. But until I watched the film, I'm not certain if it was that or us being just bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic than our opponent. It's probably a combination of both, but we'll dissect it and present it to the team once we break down the video. But certainly any coach in America, when you see 3 defensive rebounds, you're going to be happy with it, but once we get into the details, we'll know if it's more us technique wise or just being bigger and better.
I know that you said that you guys are working on a game for this weekend. Obviously haven't announced anything with that yet, but I guess kind of leading up to this weekend and with the next game on the schedule being the 12th, kind of where does your guys' focus go? Does it mainly just stay on improving your guys' game as opposed to preparing for an opponent?
Well, it's hard to prepare for an opponent when you don't have one. So it's been about us for the most part. Certainly we've prepared for the 2 opponents we've had thus far. Arizona's too far away to worry about preparing for them. We're working the phones all day long. We're close. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll roll something out within 24 to 48 hours of lining some stuff up before Arizona. We'd love to play at least one and would rather play 2. games before we play Arizona, just because the days are dwindling. There's only X amount of days left before conference play starts for most of the country. Ours is a little more delayed than most, but all these other teams will be playing their own conference games. So we've got to try to get some games under our belt, and we've got a gap here before the 12th. We're working on stuff after the 12th as well. But we're close. We're close to being able to come to terms with a couple different programs to be able to play a couple games before the Arizona game.
But it looked like Jason King had maybe tweaked an ankle or something in that last game. Was that the reason for him not suiting up this time around?
Yeah, if you remember, right in front of our bench, he grabbed a rebound, and one of the Arizona Christian players accidentally fell on top of him, and he kind of fell on his leg. And I guess they're calling it a high ankle sprain, and he's got some swelling or a bruise, I guess, maybe in his lower leg. But he played a few minutes that game, but he couldn't go back in because of the injury, and he hasn't done anything since. He hasn't practiced. He hasn't worked out. So I don't think it's a long-term issue, but hopefully he'll get back in the court very, very soon. But he didn't dress out at all tonight.
Coach, you mentioned you were talking to the team about March. What were some of the discussions you had, and what did some of the players bring up dealing with COVID and the break?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by my screen. I feel like there's a light on me or something.
No worries, Coach.
I apologize. I'm sorry. Do you see the light on there? Is it me?
Yeah, it's a scoreboard right behind you. Yeah, we see it. But real quick, Coach, can you talk a little bit more about what you were emphasizing when you talked about the team, about COVID and the March break? What were some of the things that the players brought up, and what were some of the things that you took away from that conversation?
We've just really tried to understand that COVID's affecting everybody one way or another, and it's certainly affecting us. And every sports team in America talks about adversity and hurdles, and we're like every other team having to deal with it. And teams that are able to adjust and work on the fly and not get distracted too much by being out of your routine, we'll have successful seasons. And teams that bothers them won't be as successful. And we talk about it a lot, and we'll see how we do. So far so good with being down here, and it's just definitely different. It's just different not playing at home. And we played 2 games, one at someone else's barn and the other, in a gym that, talking to the referees and, coaches, like, can you believe we're playing a Division I game here, but it is what it is. And so the kids have been great. Kids just want to play. They want to compete. They had fun tonight. I enjoyed listening to them on the bench. They were rooting for one another like they always do. And, we're just trying to move forward the best we can.
Chris, some people saw the game and they were wondering, is Jabari Rice all right? Was that just kind of a instant thing, or what's his status?
I'm not sure. The issue with Jabari is, he loves to compete. Obviously, everybody on this Zoom knows that. They've seen him play enough. He loves to compete. He's the type of guy that could have a nagging injury and wouldn't necessarily tell you about it because he doesn't want to get off the floor. Maybe in practice he would bring it up, but not on game day. So apparently it was bothering him prior to the game, but we didn't realize that until the game unfolded. And I'm not sure it's an ankle issue / foot. It's more of a foot. Okay, I'm sorry. It's more of a foot issue. But I think they're going to try to get him an appointment in the morning, have it looked at, possibly x-rayed to see where it's at. I mean, he played all night on it, but obviously it was visibly bothering him. He was limping at times. So we're hoping for the best. We're hoping that it's more of a bruise than a break. But I'm not a doctor or a trainer, and we're going to have it looked at in the morning and see where we're at.
I also wanted to ask you about the other night you have a game where it's close, you have to battle, you have to stick together. Tonight it's a little bit more of a blowout win, but you say your guys are still focused. How happy are you with their focus through everything they've had to deal with up to this point?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't know what this means, but I just expect them to be that way. I mean, I don't know why, but I do. That's just how I think it should be done. And I think they know that that's how I think it should be done. And, what are you going to do? I mean, you gotta fight through it, and you gotta live with it, and you gotta figure it out. And who are you going to complain to? No one cares. We've got to adjust and adapt and roll with it. So, I don't know if I'm proud of them. I expect it. It doesn't surprise me that they're handling it the way they do. And, but, we're not patting them on the back every day about it either. A lot of teams across the country are having to deal with a lot of distractions this year, and it's no different for us. So that's kind of what I guess I think about that.
Coach, from a foul situation standpoint, the point guard scenario kind of flip-flopped tonight, whereas Evan wasn't in foul trouble, but CJ Roberts was. Evan kind of showed his effectiveness from both, scoring and passing the ball. Is that kind of something that you like to see him get in his groove there a little bit and, kind of develop into, just a good scorer and passer, all-around more player this year? Do you kind of see that from him tonight?
Yeah. I don't have a great memory, but I don't know if I've ever had anybody play 3 minutes and accumulate 5 fouls. That's got to be borderline record. I mean, he just had some bad breaks. CJ had some bad breaks. I wasn't pleased with him in the first half for a couple things, so he didn't play as much as he probably would have liked. And then, unfortunately for him, I was hoping he'd get untracked and play better in the second and play a lot more minutes. And then it was just like, wow. I mean, that was crazy how fast it happened. And he needed that game experience. He needed to play more tonight. And it's unfortunate for him. One of the better things that came out of tonight was to Evan to play the way he did. He's been practicing at a pretty good level for the most part. The last few weeks, he was practicing like he played tonight. And then against Arizona Christian, he didn't get off to a great start. He got saddled with the fouls. He never could find his rhythm. He almost searched for it to a fault. And so it was really nice to see him, get in the flow and be productive. And not just from a scoring perspective, but, at halftime, he had 5 assists, 1 turnover. So I was really pleased with him and happy for him. And I think that'll, if his confidence was shook, and I'm not saying it was, but if it was at all, it certainly is restored. And I felt the same way about Johnny. I was very disappointed with Johnny last game. I mean, with the level of athlete that he was competing against, I thought he should have dominated more around the basket. 5 of the 8 points that he scored were with it in the last minute of the game. And to have 3 points in 39 minutes of play, well, he wasn't out there for 39, but the game 39, I thought was ridiculous. And he certainly had to hear about it from me heading into the game. And, it's nice to see him just be more aggressive and assertive because we need him to. Johnny's got to be an integral part of who we are. He knows our system as well as anybody. He's been around me in the program for as long as I've been here, and he needs to have a big year. And I think I mentioned on the post game that he had some nagging injuries, which has, stunted his ability to get in better shape. So I rode him in the second half. I mean, he played the whole way until the last 3-4 minutes, and that was by design. I told the staff I was just going to keep him out there. I wanted him to play. I wanted him to get game minutes. I wanted him to be winded, to try to get him in shape that way, rather than trying to just do it in practice.
Anything else for Coach Jans tonight, guys? Okay.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Have a good night, Coach.
Thanks, guys.